This is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast, where every week this brother and sister duo gets together to discuss the box office, latest film and TV scoops, our latest movie or show review, and what we're getting into next. We are your host,
Cheryl
and Jay.
All right, so are you ready for the trivia this week?
Yes, I am ready for the movie trivia this week.
All right, so we watched Blue Beetle this week. So movie trivia will be Blue Beetle-esque related. So get your mind ready for that.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. Who was, and this is going to be super vague. You're going to be like, okay. Who was originally set to play the villain? So in the movie is Susan Sarandon.
Okay.
Who was originally set to play Victoria Court in the movie?
Originally set to play, is it an actress in the same caliber of Susan Sarandon?
Same caliber. I'll even give you this. Same caliber. They don't look alike. It's an older white woman. I'll give you that.
Glenn Close.
No, but that would have been good.
That would have been good.
Oh, she would have been a good villain. Sharon Stone.
Oh, that would have been good.
Yeah,
that would have been good. Fatal Attractions, Sharon Stone.
She was originally
really
set to play Victoria Court, but she dropped out and was replaced with Susan Sarandon.
Why'd she drop out?
IMDb does not say.
Interesting.
She would have been good, though.
She would have been a good villain.
Yeah.
Even though Susan Sarandon also would have been a good villain.
If she showed up.
Yeah.
Wait for our review for more.
Okay, let's get into the episode. Welcome, fellow movie buffs. I'm Jay.
I'm Cheryl.
Listen in as we break down movie and TV shows, tell you what's in the plot, and hear if we think you should have watched it when you had the chance.
Dun, dun, dun. So for today's episode, we are going to go over some movies and their profits, couple movies that have come out recently, but it's been too big. So a little discussion around that. We've got a new Apple TV Godzilla spinoff series. Big day for movie releases coming up for Labor Day weekend. A new Rebel Moon trailer. And if you guys are like, what is Rebel Moon? Jared's going to tell you about that. And then there's like 11 sequels coming out for the rest of the year. Granted, it's August. And December is literally like 5 months away. There are several sequels still set to come out this year.
Some of them have no trailers.
None. Not one. And then finally for this episode, this week we reviewed Blue Beetle.
Yay.
DC's latest entry to the now defunct DCEU.
Not completely. We still have Aquaman.
Oh, right. Second to last. All right. So let's get started. So this week, Variety, confirmed sources, put out an article talking about a couple of big budgeted movies that are not doing great. So Fast X is apparently going to be barely profitable. We didn't review Fast X on this podcast because we started like 3 episodes ago, but it was not.
It's so strange to hear
not great.
Any Fast and Furious movie being barely profitable because those movies make like ridiculous amounts of money.
They're very popular. They're more popular overseas, like by a lot.
And they vary in quality, but they still bring in so much money.
So this one, and so Fast X has grossed so far $714 million, which sounds little. I mean, I'm sorry, sounds like a lot. But then you consider the budget was $340 million, which is like on par. Or maybe not super on par, but Avatar 2, I think's budget was somewhere around there, if not a little more.
Yeah, when they said the budget for Fast X was going to be like
so
over
expensive.
$300 million, even before the movie came out, everybody was saying the movie's going to bomb because it makes no sense to spend this much money on a movie about people driving cars and doing heists. Yeah. Yeah,
it was, and it's interesting because I think it was last episode you said not being able to see. I think it was Mission Impossible where you said you wasn't able to see the budget in the movie.
Yeah, I didn't see $340 million on the screen.
140 at the most.
Yeah.
So barely profitable for Fast X. 2 other movies got mentioned in that article, and that was Indiana Jones 5, Dial of Destiny, and Mission Impossible 7, Dead Reckoning Part 1. They are both on track to lose $100 million each movie.
That's crazy. And Indy 5 losing money, I can kind of see because it's I think they try to play into the nostalgia factor that didn't completely work for that.
Yeah, its gross is only 374. Its budget was, again, too high. $295 million.
Mission Impossible losing money, though, is specifically because of horrible release scheduling.
Yes. So Mission Impossible, to give those numbers, budget was $290 million. Again, super high. Gross was 500 as of today, $524 million. So typically movies should make 2 to 2.5 times its budget to be considered breaking even.
Yeah, because that covers production and that covers the
marketing.
The marketing.
Correct. So both of those movies, they are saying, are going to lose money. Now, Indiana Jones 5 was cute. It was good, but
it was good. I would watch Indiana Jones 5 again.
I would. I don't think the interest was there. So that can be explained.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible, now they knew better than to release this movie a week before Barbenheimer. And that is why Mission Impossible is suffering right now.
Yeah, there hasn't been a bad Mission Impossible movie since 2, which I liked Mission Impossible 2. But it wasn't, Mission Impossible 2 is not in the league of the rest of the Mission Impossibles.
No.
I can admit that. So there hasn't been a bad Mission Impossible movie
Correct.
for a very, very long time.
I would agree with that.
This failing is just an indication of knowing the movie that you're putting out and knowing what it has the ability to compete with.
Yeah, and it was not competing with Barbenheimer. Nobody is competing with Barbenheimer thus far.
No. Barbenheimer was a movie event, kind of like Avengers Endgame. So it would be like releasing any movie at the same time or a week before Avengers
or
Endgame.
a week after.
Yeah.
Everybody should just like cleared out the calendar for like 2 weeks before and a month after.
Yeah. And Barbenheimer was like pushed by social media and all the memes and the t-shirts. And Mission Impossible has never had that.
No.
Like it's never had like a social media
And maybe
following.
they thought, and I know they thought because Top Gun Maverick did $1 billion. It was Tom Cruise's first $1 billion movie, if I'm not mistaken. And they thought, oh, everybody's going to want to go see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 because Tom Cruise, and they loved him in Maverick. You would have to have watched all 6. At least, maybe not all 6. At least the last 2 or 3 Mission Impossibles to even know what was going on in this one. Or to know the characters.
You at least have to watch what I call the Ilsa saga.
Yes.
The last 2 to know what's going on in this one. Because usually with Mission Impossible, they switch out like his team. But
they've been consistent the last couple of movies.
And I think that's part of why the last couple of movies have made the most amount of money. Yeah, it's real unfortunate for Mission Impossible.
But go see it. I mean, it'll probably be.
I would absolutely watch it again.
Streaming. Oh, I would definitely watch Mission Impossible. It wasn't better than 6, but it was on par for sure.
Indy 5 goes in my movie collection. All the Mission Impossibles are in the movie collection.
I think I'm gonna start buying like DVDs.
I'm not gonna do that.
At least a couple. 4K. Sidebar, we are sidetracking just for 30 seconds. I had asked Jared if Spider-Man Homecoming was on streaming because I was sitting at lunch and it was playing in 4K at the bar on the TV. And I was like, man, this is a good looking copy of Spider-Man Homecoming. I was like, this is so crisp and it's so clean. And I was like, maybe I should start buying some 4Ks.
Yeah,
DVDs,
I mean,
just like 2.
For Spider-Man Homecoming, yes. If it's not on streaming, you should buy the
it's
disc
on Disney Plus, but it's not going to come through my TV looking like it did in 4K, right?
If it's on Disney Plus in 4K, it will look the same as the disc.
Sidetrack, but I might buy Mission Impossible, maybe the last 2 on DVD.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
I mean, it's a good investment. One day when AI takes over and shuts down all the servers.
Listen, when they take everything off streaming nowadays.
We won't have anything to watch. So.
Physical media is about to go up because they're taking everything off of streaming. Not everything, of course. But yeah, so.
The lesson to learn here is that it does not cost. The amount of money you put into a movie is not an indication of quality. No. We have movies coming out. We have movies coming out that look like on have cinematography on the level of Dune, like Rebel Moon and The Creator coming out, and their budgets are under $100 million. And it's strange because I look at those things and I think money is missing from the screen. I'm like, there's no way it only cost $86 million to make this, and then it costs $340 million to make Fast and Furious.
Crazy.
I don't understand how it costs that much money to CGI
maybe it all CGI went cars. To casting salaries.
I don't think there's the Fast movies.
40 million went to Vin Diesel and 300 million went to.
I don't know, because the Fast movies make a lot of. They have a lot of cast members.
Yes,
but none of them are A-list outside of the world of Fast and Furious. Like, you don't see them anywhere else. You see Michelle Rodriguez and other stuff mostly as like a side character,
right?
But
she's not like lead.
Yeah,
she was good in Dungeons and Dragons though.
Yeah, so
yeah, Hollywood, stop making these movies so expensive.
Yeah, I don't know. Start cooking the books again or something. This doesn't make any sense.
All right, on to our next topic. Apple TV is coming out with a new Godzilla spinoff. And before anybody goes, oh, another Godzilla, the last few Godzilla related things have been pretty good.
They were.
So this spinoff series is going to be called Monarch, Legacy of the Monsters. Going to star Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell. If they sound like they're related, it's because they are. Father-son duo. They're going to play the same character. It's an army officer. His name is Lee Shaw, but they're going to be in two different eras of the movie. So apparently the series spans 3 generations.
Yeah, it's supposed to span their entire military career working for Monarch.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too.
I like
Godzilla stuff. I like King Kong stuff. The Godzilla, Kong, Ninja Turtles, those are all like IPs that never they're old, but never get old. I don't know. Correct. If that's the proper way to describe that.
They're able to reinvent them to where the current generation still looks forward to them.
Yeah, like they reintroduce them every new generation, and every new generation likes them because who doesn't like giant monsters duking it out in like a major metropolitan city or something,
tearing it up.
And yeah, it's just one of those things where if you don't do anything with them, it's wasted potential and money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this will probably I wonder if it's going to be Apple TV has quality shows too.
Yeah, they really do.
So the co-developers of this particular show, Chris Black, who was from Severance, Apple TV,
which is
quality show,
such a great show.
Matt Fraction, who was from Hawkeye, which was good. I like Hawkeye on Disney Plus.
He wrote the comic that Hawkeye, the Disney Plus show, was based on, and I think he did some work for the show as well.
Nice,
but yeah,
nice.
He's really good.
Matt Shakeman, who directed 9 episodes of WandaVision, is directing the first 2 episodes. So the behind the scenes is already looking good.
Yeah.
Severance, Hawkeye, WandaVision, more.
They put up some screenshots of the series, of the Godzilla series. And the CGI looks good. There's like screenshot of Godzilla roaring at somebody that's like standing on the ground.
He looks very much like the Godzilla from the movie.
Yeah, it looks like a shot from the movie. So
yes, it does.
The budget is
thought it was. I was like, oh,
I think it's supposed to be it. Because in the screenshot, it's a picture of Godzilla roaring at somebody standing outside of a school bus.
Right, so it looks like he's in a street or something.
In the first Godzilla, there was a scene where Elizabeth Olsen's son was on a school bus, and they were trying to evacuate him across the bridge.
I remember
it looks like it might be like, I think they might be doing different shots of the movie scenes.
I like that. Overlapping it with the show.
Mm-hmm.
They did that for Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous.
Yeah.
The scenes from the show overlap with scenes from the movie, and I thought that was pretty cool.
So I hope that's what that is. It looks good. I love Godzilla stuff. I didn't dislike the first Godzilla reboot movie, but I just hope we get more monsters. Right. And it doesn't. I hope they don't do the Transformer thing where it's way too much focus on the humans. And not so much focus on the monsters.
Gotcha. Yeah. But it looks, I mean, we only got pictures so far, but The cast sounds good. The plot sounds good. There is no premiere date. It won't premiere. So far, it's just saying late 2023. And it's August. So September, October, November, or December.
Yeah. Also, it's called Monarch Legacy of Monsters. So I wonder if it's not just going to be Godzilla. What other, like, are we going to get like Mothra
I'll take it.
or King Kong or any other monsters?
I feel like they would be missing out if there wasn't at least like King Kong's finger.
Yeah, it's going to be
something
full of Easter eggs.
Or at least like his yell or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Looking forward to that. Next up, and I didn't even realize this until I put this note. September 5th, there's going to be a couple movie releases, digital releases coming out. Mm-hmm. So Barbie is coming to digital, which is funny because it's only like...
I feel like it just came out.
It did, but they've hit 1 billion. And I feel they're like...
Yeah, at this point, there's no...
At this point, just throw it to the masses. Mm-hmm. So typically movies, it'll at least be 2 months before they put something on digital. 2 or 3 months, I feel like. Marvel's been doing about...
It depends on how well it does.
You're right. Because Marvel will take at least a couple months before they put it on digital. And then it'll be a couple more months before they put it on streaming, which is pretty much what's happening with The Little Mermaid. But WB and Barbie, they're like, we got our 1 billion. You guys can do whatever you want with this.
It seems like if the movie is bad, it goes digital very quickly.
Super quick.
If the movie is good, they take their time putting it on digital. And if the movie is amazing,
they're like, we got our cash.
We don't care when it goes digital. We got our 1 billion. You can do literally whatever you want.
Did you see that the Dracula Voyage of
Demeter?
Yes, that is going to digital, I think, in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think that made any money.
It's not doing well.
Outside of seeing the trailers in the movie theater, I never saw ads for it.
I think I saw a Twitter ad or two. Yeah. But yeah, the critics didn't love it. It's not making any money at the box office. It's going to streaming, I think like the end of this month or something. But so Barbie's coming out for digital, just digital. I don't think it's streaming. So you can buy it on digital September 5th, which is Labor Day weekend. Also Labor Day weekend, The Little Mermaid. Yay. It's coming on digital. I'm definitely 4K, Blu-ray,
Steelbook.
DVD, Steelbook, extra credits, scenes, after cut, sing along. I want whatever version has all of that. But the digital version, no, it's going to Disney Plus September 5th. I think it's already available for digital. It's going on sale September 5th. So sure we'll be buying the deluxe, super deluxe, over deluxe edition.
I have been seeing advertising for the Steelbook, which is crazy because I don't see ads or advertising for movies, but I'll see ads and advertising for the
It's on pre-order right
release.
now, but I think I want to wait. And only Best Buy has it for pre-order. I don't know if you can order it elsewhere for pre-order, but I'm getting it, and I'm going to put my little poster up somewhere. Gotcha. Also on September 5th, something else Disney related, I Am Groot season 2 is coming out.
I didn't think they would get a season 2.
I knew it. It's too cute. So it's very cute, but it's also very short. Like each episode is like 5 minutes.
It probably is very easy to make too.
It is. There's no voice acting. Although Rocket was in one episode last season for like a minute. But I mean, they probably could have get anybody to sound like Bradley Cooper.
It drives up it's very easy to make, and it's probably very easy to get the streaming numbers in.
It's you can watch the whole season in about 30 minutes because that's how long the episodes are.
Yeah.
But
it's good babysitting TV.
It is, and you can probably replay it over and over and over and over again. But it's very cute. But I Am Groot season 2 is also the 5th, so I think they're trying to get people who are off work, holiday. Maybe you're not traveling. Maybe you are traveling and you have something to watch. So Barbie.
It's an on the road thing for sure.
Yes. Barbie, Little Mermaid, I Am Groot. We might be missing something, but those are the big 3 coming out Labor Day weekend.
Okay. So our next bit of news is we have a trailer announcement and date for Rebel Moon, which if nobody knows what that is, Rebel Moon is a new movie. It's a 2-part movie. There's going to be a part 1 and part 2.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
So it's going to be so let me go into it. So Rebel Moon is a movie that's going to be directed by Zack Snyder. It's going straight to Netflix. It's going to be a part 1 and a part 2. Think Dune.
Okay.
It's
giving Dune vibes.
Yeah, if you look at it, it's giving Dune vibes. Very, very on a distant planet, desert, in space. But the trailer comes out on Tuesday, on the 22nd, this coming Tuesday. And part 1 of the movie comes out on December 22nd, 2023. So it's going to be like a Christmas holiday release.
Okay.
So background on the movie, according to Zack Snyder, it's inspired by Japanese filmmaker Akira Kurosawa.
From Akira?
No.
Oh.
He does like old samurai Japanese movies.
Okay.
And it's also inspired by Star Wars, which is kind of evident taking a look at it. Doesn't mention any inspiration by Dune, but I guess Star Wars is kind of inspired by Dune. So
I mean, you don't have to say it's inspired by Dune and look at it and go Dune.
It's funny because he originally pitched it as a Star Wars film in 2012. When
this is going to be very Star Wars like then.
2012 is when Disney bought Lucasfilm, acquired them.
Okay.
So he originally pitched it when they were changing over the regime as his version of a Star Wars film. I think they didn't pick it up because it was way too mature for what they were trying to do with Star Wars.
Which is interesting because it probably would work now.
True.
Star Wars is a little
Star
more
Wars
mature.
has gotten darker ever since Mandalorian, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do chop off heads and arms and legs.
So
people.
I was going to read the synopsis.
Okay.
But the synopsis, because it comes from the mind of Zack Snyder, just has a bunch of jargon and
it's word salad.
It's word salad.
Oh, okay.
It's naming names of people you don't know and galaxies and planets and stuff that have not been introduced yet. So basically what it is about, the movie Rebel Moon is about a imperialist army.
Okay. We're already getting
or government
into the terms.
Taking over star systems.
Okay.
And you have this Rebel Alliance type character who goes around the galaxy recruiting different people who are specialized in different things so they can kind of take down the empire.
It's giving Ahsoka.
yeah. It's basically how it's described.
Okay.
So
I mean, it sounds cool.
Reading that synopsis, I know exactly why it was pitched as a Star Wars movie.
If it's reading Star Wars for sure.
If you know anything about Zack Snyder has made Watchmen. He made Man of Steel. He made Batman vs. Superman. And he did the Snyder cut of the Justice League movie. So Zack Snyder he's got a style. He's got a directing style that you either like it or you don't like it. I don't think there's a middle for Zack Snyder
what to expect, and you're like, yep, this is him.
And he does a lot of he has trademark things like other
long
directors.
Musical cuts in a movie.
Like his trademark thing is slow motion. Lots of slow motion. Play to long shots and long.
Somebody take it.
Long tracks of music that dated music tracks.
Yeah, there's a funny scene that people talk about from the 4-hour cut of Justice League where Aquaman goes he jumps into the river, but he gives these two ladies like a sweater or something. And it is the longest, most drawn out scene with the music behind it. You're like, why are we still looking at these women with this random sweater from this man with the somber music on top? Next scene, please.
The Snyder cut of Justice League was 4 hours long, and I still think an hour of it was slow motion.
He really
loves slow motion. He's one of those directors who's like, somebody said that it feels like Zack Snyder shoots stuff in slow motion because it thinks that adding slow motion adds more meaning to the shot. And it's like, no, the writing and the filming add more meaning to the shot, not the slow motion. Slow motion is not a substitute for emotion.
Ooh, put that on a shirt.
So I'm interested in seeing it. It looks,
I'll watch it. It sounds
if you look at it, it looks like a mix. There's set photos and screenshots. There hasn't been any any clips or footage of it out yet that I've seen. But if you look at it, it looks like Dune and Star Wars, but not traditional Star Wars.
Okay.
It looks like a mix between Dune and Rogue One Star Wars.
Okay. So older Star Wars.
Lightsaber.
The non-Jedi.
The non-Jedi side of Star Wars.
Okay.
That's what it looks like.
I mean, it'll probably be worth a tune in to see what it is.
It has a pretty stacked cast. Sofia Boutella, Sofia Boutella is from The Mummy, the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
She's also from the second Kingsman. She was Samuel Jackson's henchman who had the prosthetic legs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know who she is from The Mummy because I've seen clips of The Mummy, although I haven't seen the movie. So facially, I know who she is.
She plays the lead in Rebel Moon.
Okay.
The rest of the cast includes Jaimin Hansu, who is almost in everything.
Mm-hmm. Familiar.
Charlie Hunnam, who hasn't been in too much, but he was in Sons of Anarchy, which is
I didn't watch that. That was an FX show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
He was the lead in Pacific Rim.
Okay.
With Idris Elba.
Okay, I did not see Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim was good.
Was it?
It was good.
I didn't know there were two leads.
Besides
Idris Elba.
It was Charlie Hunnam who played the lead character.
Okay.
Idris Elba who played he was like the military general who was like in charge of the U.S. section of Giant Robots.
Okay.
He never came back for the sequel. The sequel was taken over by John Boyega.
Right. I do know that.
Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg.
We know Ray.
In Justice League. The last person that's notable to me is Anthony Hopkins, who
I didn't know Anthony
is
Hopkins
famous for just being Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins
he's a legend.
He's a legend. He's a funny guy because he will diss a movie and you be like, Anthony Hopkins, you about to be in another movie just like the movie you just dissed.
Yeah, he's one of those legends.
Sir Anthony.
He's one of those legends that have been acting for so long. They don't really care about the project. They just enjoy the acting.
Right. And then they say stuff. You're like, oh, Anthony.
I watched a breakdown of The Wolfman. This is a sidebar, but it's about Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, okay.
You probably have never seen it.
I have not.
The Wolfman reboot with Benicio del Toro, Anthony Hopkins, and Emily Blunt.
This sounds like a good cast.
And Hugo Weaving.
Do I need to watch it?
I believe
is it a horror
it was
movie?
Hugo Weaving. It's the Wolfman.
Oh.
It's like
who's the Wolfman?
It's not very scary. Benicio del Toro plays the Wolfman. Anthony Hopkins plays his father. But spoiler alert, Anthony Hopkins plays like the very first Wolfman in the family. And one of the fun facts about the production of that movie was that Anthony Hopkins, before he was even signed, he was so excited to do the Wolfman. Before he signed the contract, he went and got a body cast done so they could build him a Wolfman suit. Because he was
because he wanted his own.
He really wanted to be. He was really excited about. He didn't really care about the script or whatever. He was really excited about just getting a Wolfman suit, having wires attached to him, and getting to do like crazy stuff that he didn't get to do like in the rest of his acting career. Anthony Hopkins just wants to act.
Yeah,
I don't think he cares about what he's in.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like.
I'm not saying the Rebel Moon's going to be bad, but.
Harrison Ford. Like I think Harrison Ford could not act, but I think he legitimately just likes the act of acting and he enjoys it. And that's why he's like, sure, I'll be in your movie. Let's do it. Sign me up.
Yeah. So Rebel Moon, looking forward to that kind of, and definitely looking forward to seeing the trailer. I'm going into it thinking that it sounds derivative. So I'm going to expect to see a lot of nods to Star Wars and Doom.
It kind of looks like a video game movie.
It does look like a video game movie, which I wouldn't be surprised if it is going to be a video game.
And maybe I'm just saying that because I'm like in the middle of playing a video game. But I'm like, this kind of look like Final Fantasy.
But other notes about Rebel Moon, it's part 1, part 2.
When is part 2 coming out?
I don't have a release date for part 2 yet, but both part 1 and part 2 are going to be PG-13. And both part 1 and part 2 are going to get an extended R-rated cut. So expect 2 4-hour segments to be released after those come out. We just had this conversation because we know Zack Snyder loves cuts. Adding a couple extra hours onto the back of his
This is how you know Netflix has money, because you're letting this man do 2 cuts of a 4-hour movie when you really don't need it.
No.
The first one the original version better be good. Because if not, nobody's going to tune into that director's cut or our cut.
I don't know. You didn't like Watchmen, but the Watchmen had an extended cut. I liked Watchmen.
It had a more extended cut than what it already was.
Watchmen was a very long movie. It had an extended cut.
Okay.
I didn't
watching that.
I didn't really care for the extended cut, but I like the regular cut of Watchmen. That's the only other movie of his that I've seen that had a 300. I don't know if there was an extended cut to 300, but
probably
he did 300. 300 was really good. I like 300.
I like 300, but I did not know it was a Zack Snyder movie until right now. But now that you say that,
yeah,
doesn't it? Tell.
Yeah, doesn't it?
The long shot of people
getting
sense? Sliced and diced,
the long music cues, the slow motion,
people falling back off the cliff.
Yeah, that's his directing style.
Yeah, okay, it'll probably be entertaining at least.
Yeah, I'll watch it,
and it will be at home. So sure, popcorn, snacks, couch, sign me up.
Last thing on the list isn't really news, but I thought it'd be funny just to run down the rest of they're listed as upcoming sequels still set to release in 2023, but it's just unbelievable that we have a list of movies that are supposed to be like
movies.
Blockbuster, box office draw movies.
But I guess we have all of September, all of October, all of November. We have all of December. 4 full months. That's like 4, 8, 12, 16 weeks. I mean, I guess that's technically not a lot of movies, but they're all like big-ish movies.
Yeah, they're all
coming out the last 4 months of the year.
I feel like they're all theater movies that have like a level of
except
expectation
this last
to
one.
Do well.
Except this very last one you got on the list.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
So let's just go down the list. So upcoming sequels still set to release in 2023. We have Saw 10.
Nope.
Which is supposed to be set before.
It's between two movies, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be set. They're inserting this movie before the movie where Jigsaw dies.
Which one did he die in?
I don't know.
7,
2 or 3
8,
at this point.
Oh.
And it's not from a lack of doing research. It's just the timeline of Saw is so convoluted. Saw is one of those movies that it constantly goes back and forth between the present and the past, and they're constantly putting out new movies but inserting them into a different part of the timeline.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They like Tokyo Drift like every other movie and put it like in the beginning or in the middle.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And they constantly bring back people that are supposed to be dead, and then you find out, this whole movie was a prequel, and I didn't know it.
Oh, not get into that.
Saw 10. I don't know. I'm not really interested. I feel like this movie is supposed to be about him getting revenge on the people who.
I will say this. The trailer looks interesting. Like the concept of the movie looks interesting.
It's funny coming from you because you don't like torture.
I hate torture movies. So I will never watch any Saw because you tell me a movie is based basically on torture and I'm checking out. No, thank you. I'm out of here. Now, if you have like a scene of like in Casino Royale where James Bond was tortured for like 5 seconds in a scene, that's okay. I can handle that. But the whole movie, absolutely not.
The only Saw movie I really liked was maybe the first one.
Of course.
The second one.
Okay.
And Spiral.
But
most people didn't like Spiral. Spiral was the Chris Rock, Samuel Jackson spin-off Saw.
Okay.
Where it was more of a detective
thriller.
Thriller. Than it was just like strictly torture.
Okay.
But most people didn't like Spiral. But I liked Spiral, and probably because of the actors in it. Specifically, Samuel Jackson elevates anything that he's in.
Of course. My fave.
But yeah, Saw 10 is coming out. Dune 2. We just saw another trailer for Dune 2 when
Beautiful
we went to go
gowns.
see Blue Beetle. I liked the first Dune. It was just very slow.
Nothing happened.
But according to people who are fans of Dune,
this is where
everything happens in the second part.
So this is where it turns up. Okay. I mean, it looks really good. It looks like it'll have more action. The first one wasn't bad. I'm glad we watched it at home.
Yeah, I'm glad it was a home release.
And I was just like, when are we gonna turn up? When is it going? And then the movie was over. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it kind of ended when it was gonna get interesting. So
I think it's always hilarious to me that they promoted Zendaya up and down and through that movie, and she was literally in it.
Yeah, she was only in it at the end.
5 minutes.
But it looks like she might be in this one a lot more.
I'm pretty sure she is the second in
Rebecca
command.
Ferguson was in the movie a lot more than Zendaya was, and they promoted the heck out of Zendaya in the first part.
I mean, they marketing, they knew what they were doing, but she does seem like she's like second most screen time.
Stack cast: Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem,
Josh Brolin.
Christopher frickin' Walken.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh.
Not Gerard Butler. Austin Butler. So yeah, the cast looks good. The trailer looks good. I just hope it looks like it'll be more. I think I like this one more than the first one, based on the trailer.
Yeah, because it looks like it just has a lot more going on.
It does look like it has a lot more going on. I'm not a huge Timothée Chalamet fan. He's okay. I
like battle movies. Like Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers is one of my favorite battle movies.
Yes.
Because of the way it's shot.
I like a good battle movie.
And I hope that it has some of those elements in it.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I feel like it'll be a good one.
The Nun 2 is coming.
Nope. Absolutely not. It looks good and scary though. It looks like it's a good. So this is not really a sidebar because it's related. The lady next to me during Blue Beetle.
Oh, she screamed.
All of them did. Her and whoever was next to her literally jumped.
Yeah.
At the Nun 2 trailer, and I was like, nope, absolutely not.
The Nun movies are spinoffs of the Conjuring movies, which is Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga.
Yeah.
And they're not the best of those movies. Conjurings are usually the better movies. The Nuns are the spinoffs. This one, however, stars Vera Farmiga's daughter, who looks exactly like Vera Farmiga. And they've been promoting it as the scariest. Nun 2 is supposed to be the scariest movie in the entire Conjuring franchise.
I mean, I don't watch the trailer. I look into my popcorn. I scroll on my phone. Or I just cover my eyes. I don't do it. It looks good and scary though.
So that's supposed to be coming out.
I'll give you that.
The Marvels.
Woo! My second most anticipated movie of the year. First was Little Mermaid. Second is The Marvels.
The Marvels is coming out. It looks good, looks fun. I hope that the movie is as good and fun as it looks like in the trailers.
Yes.
The last movie we saw by Nia DaCosta, who's director, was Candyman, which was good.
I didn't sleep right for a couple of days, so I think that's a good indication of how good it was.
Which also starred Tiana Paris.
Yes.
So she knows how to stick with good actresses. So we're looking forward to The Marvels coming out.
Seeing that twice.
Next movie on the list is Expendables, which is the fourth one. Expendables is how it's
I don't know if I've even seen. I didn't know there were 3 of these.
I'm not a fan of old man action movies.
You didn't like Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren,
Red?
Yes, you didn't like Red or Red 2? Oh, those are so good.
Red wasn't bad. I didn't see Red 2.
Those are good.
I don't like old man action movies because too much of the premise focuses on them being limited because they're old people.
Okay, fair enough.
I just feel like that dulls down. We know they're old. Let them do outlandish things because even the young people do outlandish, ridiculous action stunts that make no sense.
Right, you're right. But Red is good, but there was only like 3. There wasn't 12 people like in Expendables.
Plus, Jason Statham and 50 Cent are not old enough to be Expendables.
No, they're not. I would not agree with that.
And now they're throwing in Megan Fox and some other action star.
She's not old enough to be considered.
So I think they've run out of expendable actors and are now, it's just a mix
Anthony Hopkins didn't say yes.
Anthony Hopkins would probably be interesting.
Sure. I'll be the old guy in the chair.
They're running this into the dirt. The Expendables aren't even the same age group as they started out with.
Yeah. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 on that one.
Another movie I didn't know was coming out at all this year is Good Burger 2.
Nope.
I had no idea this was coming out at all.
I knew it was coming out because there was a picture trending. Wow. There was a picture trending. There it is. On Twitter of Keenan or Kale. Which one's on Saturday Night Live?
Keenan.
Kale. Then there was a picture trending of Kale, and he looked a little off because I guess he had like makeup on. He had like his set makeup on, but it was he was looking too smooth.
Yeah.
Like, just no lines, kind of a little caked on. So
I think they're gonna do some age regression and they're gonna do like some de-aging.
They might have to bust out
and that just might be what it looks like before they add the effects. I thought it was funny because everybody was cracking on those pictures, and then he joined in on it. He didn't like it, right?
No, he did not appreciate the jokes. It's like, sir, you need to let people have their fun because you need these same people to go see this movie. So just let it ride, sir. Just let it ride.
Nobody knows too much about this other than the fact that, so the synopsis so far.
I feel like it's too far long to do a sequel, but go ahead.
So 2 things. I don't know if this is going straight to theaters because it's being distributed by Paramount Plus.
Oh,
so I don't know if it's going straight to Paramount or if it's going to theaters. But it is a sequel for 2023. It stars Keenan and Kel.
Put that on streaming.
The synopsis is literally one sentence so far, and it says 26 years after the events of the first film.
26?
It's been 26 years since
Too late for it. I'm sorry. They passed the window. Go ahead, read it.
But 26 years after the events of the first film, inventor Dexter Reed, who is Keenan, reunites with his coworker Ed, who is Kel.
Right.
At his old workplace, Good Burger. That's the synopsis we have.
That's it.
We have no reason why they've gotten together yet.
It's gonna be something that'll come in the trailer. Corny and cheesy.
I feel like this is gonna be a Coming to America situation.
Oh,
which was so disappointing.
Coming to
America was so bad.
That was probably my most disappointing movie.
It was so bad, and I think it was so bad because Coming to America was so good because it was an R-rated comedy and they could go as far as they wanted with the jokes. It was a different time.
It was
Coming to America, they tried to do like the Nickelodeon movie thing and it was terrible. It was awful.
I was pretty disappointed with that.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but one, if y'all were going to do it, I wish they would have done it right.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you cannot do a 3 to make up for 2 because we don't want it.
Yeah,
just leave it. Just leave it.
Honestly, I
forget it even came out.
Coming to America doesn't exist in my mind.
It's not canon.
Coming to America.
Yeah, it's not canon.
It's not canon.
The people, everybody lived happy ever after. That was it.
The only notable people that are currently going to be in Good Burger 2.
Keenan and Kel?
Yes.
Other people?
A bunch of other people who aren't really like big name actors or actresses, but also Lil Rel Howery and Carmen Electra. They resurrected the corpse.
Oh my!
They resurrected the corpse of Carmen Electra.
What's next on the list? I can't do this no more.
So that's Good Burger 2. Equalizer 3.
I want to see this. Jared is not interested.
I've been affectionately calling it Man on Fire 4.
Oh, that's only because Dakota Fanning's in it.
Well, they're the same movie.
They're not.
If he didn't die at the end of Man on Fire, he would have turned into the man in the beginning of Equalizer. And he would have just been a hitman. He was already a bodyguard. Now he's just a hitman who dresses like a priest.
He's very black on black in this.
I love Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is great. He elevates everything that he touches.
See?
Equalizer gives me Taken vibes from Denzel Washington, which
Taken 1 though, right?
Yeah, Equalizer 3. All the Equalizers are Taken 1 level, which is the best Taken.
Correct.
Taken 2 and Taken 3 are awful.
I don't know what happened after.
So I will say that Equalizer 3 gives me Denzel Washington's Taken, and they all are the best version of Taken. I will say that they are good.
I didn't see Equalizer 2 though.
I didn't see Equalizer 2 because I didn't think it was necessary.
I would have to see 2.
Is the Queen Latifah show still going?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep.
So
I think so.
Cameo. Let's do an after credit scene. Let's do an Easter egg.
Oh, of the movie and the show? That would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Dakota
Fanning's returning, which is strange to say because she's not technically returning. She's a new character.
I was going to say, right, she wasn't in the second one, right?
No, she wasn't in any of them.
Oh, okay.
But she was in Man on Fire, which is exactly why this is Man on Fire 4.
It's not Man on Fire 4.
There's a scene, she shows up in the trailer at the very last second and she says something like, "Oh, did you kill those men?"
Yeah, he's like, "No, that wasn't me," or something like that.
Yeah, and I really wanted her to call him Creasy.
Yeah,
come on.
It's funny because they both look the same, even though they're both older.
They do both look the same. Next is Exorcist the Believer,
which I called Poacher Dice earlier. I was like, "Yeah, the new Poker Dice movie that's coming out." And you were like, "That's the Exorcist." I was like, "Oh."
I don't
know
my if this was
scary
necessary.
Possessed movies mixed up.
So you talked about Good Burger, being too long on a sequel. The Exorcist came out in 1973.
But there have been Exorcist movies in between now and then, right? At least
I don't know if they're canon.
Oh,
it's like the Halloween thing.
Okay,
because with this movie, so this is called Exorcist the Believer. It's technically Exorcist 2.
Oh.
Because they're doing the Jamie Lee Curtis thing where they're taking the mom from the first Exorcist and bringing her into this one as a consultant. So
this is like the direct sequel from that movie from
it feels like a direct sequel from the first one. Kind of like Halloween was a direct sequel from the first Halloween.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Ooh,
it looks like instead of them having one girl being possessed, it's going to be two girls who are possessed, who are friends. It looks like at an elementary school. Nobody knows how they got possessed.
Right. I unfortunately don't think it's going to do well because I don't think horror.
It looks cheap.
Yeah, something about it's just kind of like and it's funny for me not to like horror movies. I watched the Exorcist trailer and was like, "Oh, this looks like more like a thriller."
Yeah, it does. It doesn't look very scary.
Although when she's walking down the stairs backwards, a little freaky. But I never thought The Exorcist was like super scary.
It was a different time. When The Exorcist first came out, it was called the scariest movie ever made.
Right, and
I
it's
could
not.
see that because
well, then, yes.
people had just discovered like Technicolor.
Right.
So anything could have been the scariest movie ever made. I can believe that. But it looks like they're trying to do a lot of the things that the first Exorcist did, which isn't scary anymore.
Yeah, because even like I said, I ain't messing with that Nun 2 trailer.
It doesn't look scarier than the Nun.
But the Exorcist trailer, I was like, oh, I can handle this. Is all right.
It seems tame. The trailer seems tame.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna watch the movie.
You don't do supernatural horror.
Oh, listen, my horror is Megan, Scream, and I was really playing with fire when I saw Candyman.
Cheryl
really playing with fire.
Cheryl likes human killers.
Listen, my killers need to be dolls.
Killers need to be killable.
Right. They need to be able to be burned up and not work no more, or they need to be able to stab through the heart and they can't come back.
Killers cannot live.
If they can be
spirits.
Right. They can go to outer realms and they can do little juju jaja and be coming back to life. Nope. Can't do.
Because when you have a human killer and you kill them, it's the end.
That's it.
Now, it could be a different killer. Right. But you don't have to worry about threats from the other side, from beyond
Ain't
the veil.
Nothing reaching out across my mirror to come to get me. Ain't nothing trying to get me when I'm asleep. Nothing's turning its head backwards with something growing on its left side of its ear.
Right.
Coming out of his neck, opening up his chest and there's a whole nother baby in there or something like that. No, I don't. No.
Nobody's really in this movie other than Leslie Odom Jr.
Right.
Who is
the dad of one of
the possessed girls.
Right.
He's from Hamilton. He's from Harriet. One Night in Miami. Glass Onion.
Yes.
He was in Glass Onion.
He was good in Glass Onion.
And Ellen Bernstein, who's
Ellen?
She played the mom in the first Exorcist.
Oh, that's why people are making a big deal about that.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I don't know who this is, but y'all are so excited.
I don't know. There was no mention because in the end of the first Exorcist, her daughter they get rid of the demon, and her daughter lives.
Yes.
I don't know if her daughter's going to be in this one or not,
Listen,
or if they're going to make reference.
The daughter said, "I am living my best life."
Yeah, I don't know if I don't even know if the actress is still living or not. But
that's also a good point.
I wonder if I'm not going to watch it, but I would like to know what happened to the daughter.
Oh, listen. Even if
I'm sorry, you may or may not hear our two dogs in the background.
Why are they playing upstairs?
Deciding to play while we're recording. The entire time they've been sitting quietly and just looking out the window, and they decided to start.
They are turning up. Yeah. They are turning up, which is so funny because they literally never play. They just look at each other and look out the window. Have no idea what I was about to say. So next movie.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
You know what?
Did you ever see the first Aquaman?
I've seen it in pieces. Okay. I know what happened.
You need to watch it in full before we see it.
You know what? I will watch the full one because it's got my boo in it. Although I'm leery about claiming anyway. Okay. They always get into trouble doing something. I am a little worried about how this is going to be received with The Flash and Blue Beetle ahead of it.
I'm not worried at all. I think it's going to tank.
But it might be good, though. You know what? It's bad. Even if it is good, I think people are so jaded with DCEU stuff that they're going to be like, I'll just wait for streaming.
I think people are so jaded with DCEU stuff. I think the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing I forgot about that. Kind of brought unnecessary controversy to the film.
And she's in this, right?
And she's in the film.
Right.
And even though I don't think she'll have anything to do with the film not doing well, but it just gives just
unnecessary
side conversation.
Well, I won't say unnecessary. I'll put it this way: unwanted
side conversation and controversy that has nothing to do with the movie.
Right.
And it's the fact that this is the end of the universe that we know is effectively dead after this.
Yep.
So, I mean, James Gunn has basically all but said Jason Momoa may come back, but he definitely won't be Aquaman.
Right. He'll be Lobo, maybe.
So what's the
maybe? And it's just crazy because the first one made, and the Marvels will have this same thing where the originals or the first entries made $1 billion, and everybody's going to be like, oh, and I don't think the Marvels or Aquaman are going to make $1 billion. But everybody's gonna be like, oh, it didn't make $1 billion, it's a flop, whatever. I want us to retire the word.
Did Aquaman come out before or after Wonder Woman?
I don't remember.
Let's see.
I thought Aquaman was before.
Wonder Woman came out in 2017.
Okay. Oh, you're right, Aquaman might have been after. Because
Aquaman came out in 2018. So
right after
Aquaman probably made $1 billion, just like why Wonder Woman made $1 billion, because they were the first set of good movies after we got bad movies.
Yeah.
And Captain Marvel made $1 billion because she was a popular character.
Right. Well, people try to also say Captain Marvel made $1 billion because it became between Infinity War and Endgame.
And that's also a factor.
And I'm sure that helped.
Yeah, because people were looking for, okay, what's going to be the big connection?
Correct.
I mean, yeah. Correct. And that's what happens when you build a universe. But right. Captain Marvel had a lot more of a following than Aquaman.
For sure.
But not as much of a following nowhere near as a following as Wonder Woman.
Also correct. Correct.
Aquaman, up until Jason Momoa's portrayal, Aquaman has always been categorized as like a parody character who just is a guy who talked to fish.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Outside of people who read comics and knew that stuff, like people who didn't, like casuals or
wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, he was just the guy that talked. He was the guy from Super Friends that talked to fish. Yeah.
So he's like the deep, but not as much of a jerk.
Yeah. He's like the deep, but not a predator.
Right. Yes, and also Aquaman has had some reshoot news, like news of reshoots. Yeah. So
they keep saying it's screening and it's doing amazing, but then it goes back to reshoots, which is not an indication of amazing screenings. But you know, whatever.
We'll see. It's a Christmas special.
Last movie on the list, Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. And you think this isn't a theater experience, but Chicken Run, the first one.
I was not a Chicken Run girl.
It was the hype of like that stop motion animation when the first Chicken Run came out.
And I don't necessarily like stop motion. It just looks like
it's a style.
It is listen, stop motion. I know it takes a lot of, I'm sure the skill on which to do it is great, but it does have that look of like, I don't think I want to watch this.
Chicken Run had a budget of $45 million.
Okay.
And made $227.8 million.
Nice.
In its box office.
When did the first one come out? Because this is a very late sequel.
The first one came out in 2000. So this is 23 years. A lot of movies coming out 20 plus years.
I think from
the first
Come on. 20 something years.
Yeah.
I know
Chicken Run was a commercial success, grossing over $220 million, becoming the highest grossing stop motion animated film in history. And DreamWorks Animation's biggest success until Shrek.
They're not going to recapture that. I'm sorry. I don't care how good this movie is. People are not checking for Chicken Run.
It also says Dawn of the Nugget, which is a sequel, is going to be released on Netflix.
Oh, so it's not even a theater movie.
No. So, like I said, some of these are theater movies. Some of them aren't.
Huh. Dawn of the Nugget sounds a little gross. Chicken nugget? Come on.
Voice cast includes Tandaway Newton as the star.
Okay.
Ginger, who's the main chicken.
Okay.
Zachary Levi, another favorite.
Oh, wow. Oh, no. This movie is doomed.
Bella Ramsey, who
from
The Last of Us,
right?
Who you know her from, but people who know Bella Ramsey know her from Game of Thrones,
right?
Games of Thrones.
What did I say? That's how you know I didn't watch that show.
A bunch of other actors who are mostly British.
Okay.
Most of all of these people are British because Chicken Run
Lord, as soon as they tell people Zachary Levi is a voice, people are like, no, thank you.
It's funny.
It's so funny that
the character he's voicing was previously voiced by Mel Gibson, so not too much better of a trait.
Listen, he made all that stink about Hollywood putting out horrible movies, and Hollywood need to stop putting out horrible movies. And he is doing Spy Kids and Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget.
Because what we know about Zachary Levi is that Zachary Levi will work for food.
And talk too much.
It doesn't even matter. Going on a speech about the quality of filmmaking literally doesn't matter when you
Dawn of the Nugget,
when you
Zachary.
live check to check. And it's like the rest of us. That's not a dig. A lot of us work check to check.
You right.
A lot of us don't like our day jobs.
But I don't say.
A lot of us will work for food.
Listen, let me be quiet.
So that's all the news and scoops that we have for this week. And let's take a short break and we'll get into our Blue Beetle review. Dun, 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 dun. All right, we are back and we are about to get into our Blue Beetle review.
Okay, so Blue Beetle was released August 18th, which was probably 2 days before you're listening to this episode. If you released it when we first dropped it on a Friday, typical Friday release. We saw it on Friday.
Yes, we did.
Opening weekend.
Yep.
Directed by Angel Manuel Soto. His first Hollywood movie, but he does have several other Spanish language films, but this is just his first Hollywood movie. So he's an established director. It stars, now y'all don't go in on me with these pronunciations of these names. Now in our notes, we tried to like phonetically spell it. So put charges to our head, not our hearts. So it stars Zolo
Maraduena.
Yeah. There you go. Jared is much better than me. Bruna Marquezine, Becky G, and George Lopez.
Yep.
So I think Zolo has been in other things, but I'm not sure.
And Susan Sarandon.
Oh, I didn't put her on.
Wow. That might be an indication of Susan Sarandon's contributions to this
Susan Sarandon is the villain, and I totally did not put her in the like casting list of our notes. Oh well. She should have showed up. Runtime is 2 hours, 7 minutes, and there are 2 after credit scenes. So there's a mid-credit scene and then one at the very end. Budget of $120 million. Current box office. So it's obviously just opened yesterday. So box office for opening weekend still rolling in. So far official numbers for Thursday night previews are 3.3 million, which unfortunately is not great.
No, it's very low.
The Flash, as a comparison, had Thursday night previews of 9.6 million. And as we all know, The Flash is like one of the worst box office performing movies of all time.
The Flash was advertised to death.
It was advertised to death.
Yeah.
So there is a difference in terms of popularity for character. There is a difference in terms of promotion. So the comparison we're just comparing it to the most recent DC movie before this one. But estimated 3-day weekend is at 28 million to 33 million. But Jared just checked Twitter. And
yeah, we got more box office news.
Go ahead and share that for the people.
So the Friday numbers have come in, and it says Blue Beetle's Friday opening is the second worst for the DCU. Only Wonder Woman 1984 had a lower Friday debut. And to add context, Wonder Woman 1984 was a day-and-date release that came out on HBO Max and in theaters at the same time because it was during COVID. It looks like Blue Beetle's Friday box office domestic, it only put it at a total, including Thursday, of $10 million.
That's not good.
That's not good. That's not good at all.
So it needs to make bank Saturday and bank on Sunday.
Yeah.
Now, I will say when I booked our tickets a week before, so I think I bought our tickets on Saturday or Sunday. We went on Friday. I was the first person to purchase our tickets in our theater at our time. And we went 7:30 on a Friday, which is prime opening weekend movie time. Yeah. The concession stand line was short.
You would have thought no new movie had come out that weekend.
You would not have thought it was an opening weekend for a
we walked in, we got right to the concession counter.
Parking was
when
decent.
We went to go see Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Ridiculous.
There was a line. It was like a really long line. And that wasn't even the last movie we went to go see. Mm-hmm. We went to go see the Meg, and it was a pretty long line.
Well, people were probably also still saying Barbie and Oppenheimer too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was not crowded. The theater was maybe half full. Maybe
half.
Our row wasn't completely full. So yeah, we are obviously going to keep an eye on the box office numbers because just generally interested in box office numbers, but
because it determines if it's going to get a sequel or not.
Determines if it's going to get a sequel. The second week percentage drop for box office will be very interesting. Now, because it could do an Elemental. Now, Elemental came out and it did not do great, but now Elemental is like almost at 500,000.
The second weekend drop has to be below 50%.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So when you're thinking about box office,
it's got to get people to come back to see it again.
Right. The box office gurus typically, like, as each weekend passes, they do a percentage drop of how the numbers are doing from weekend to weekend. And usually if you're in the realm of like 50 to 60, not so great. Anything above 60 is horrible. Anything below 50 is good. Like
Sound of Freedom came out about a month ago at this point.
Lord.
And it's still maintaining like under 50% drops every week.
Yeah, that's got something going
hopefully
on.
Blue Beetle has
legs. Blue Beetle might have, there it is. Blue Beetle might have legs, but we'll see. But opening weekend, not looking too fantastic. So let's go to Cinema Score. Okay. Rotten Tomato score. Cinema Score was a B+.
That's not good. So because I did, when I read this, I was like, I should break this down on the show because a lot of people don't seem to understand what Cinema Score is or why B is not good.
Right, because people think when people see B+, they're thinking of it is on a normal grading scale of A to, I don't know if anything's ever gotten an F. I don't even know how low it goes, but go ahead and explain it.
So with Cinema Score is it's different from Rotten Tomatoes where people go online and leave their reviews. Cinema Score is where pollsters stand outside of the movie theaters as people are leaving, and they get their on the spot live reaction to the film before it can be like tainted or adjusted by having discussion with other people.
What's your immediate
opinion on it? And they consider Cinema Score to be more pure because they're getting their reaction as soon as they're done seeing the movie.
Right.
And
it's opening weekend. I think they only do an opening weekend.
They only do an opening weekend.
Wow.
Thanks, Bailey.
I don't think we can edit that out.
The reason a B+ is considered a bad Cinema Score is because a B is considered a baseline. Yes. So if you're buying a ticket to go see a movie, there's a baseline interest that you have in seeing the movie because you're spending money and time to go see it. So you're walking into the theater in a B. You want a Cinema Score to move up to an A because you want the movie to be better
than your expectation.
It's kind of like going to a restaurant because you're hungry, and if you leave the restaurant and somebody asks, well, how did you like the restaurant? If your answer is I'm still hungry, that's a bad review.
Still hungry or I'm not satisfied.
I just walked into this restaurant and ate food and I feel unchanged.
Right.
That should not be how you review a movie if it's a good movie.
Right.
So that's why a B is considered bad, because people walked into the theater, saw the movie, came out, and their expectations were not changed. Yeah, just a movie.
Right.
Basically.
You weren't blown away. There was nothing. There was kind of when you go somewhere and you don't leave a review, you're just kind of like, it was fine. Right. Versus if you have a great experience, you're more likely to say, oh, this was good. I want other people to know 5 stars.
Yeah. And because B is typically the baseline, anything below a B+ is considered really, really bad because you walked in there with the general interest and you left with feeling lesser.
Right.
And because Cinema Score can be manipulated by like review bombing.
Correct.
And submitting several different scores.
You can't review bomb a Cinema Score because they're just asking people what their score is. So and then I guess we should also highlight that certain genres have different expectations.
Yep.
So a B+ for a horror movie would be considered pretty good.
Yeah, it would be considered pretty good because you have a general interest in going to see a horror movie. So there's the baseline. And the horror movie is supposed to make you feel a certain level of uncomfortable or scared or shocked.
You're supposed to be a little uneasy.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be like, oh, I was so scared I can't sleep.
Right. Nobody says that about horror movies.
Right.
I crap my pants. So
right.
A+.
A++.
Right.
Yeah. So B+ for like a horror movie would be considered good.
Mm-hmm.
A B+ for like a superhero movie or an action flick is borderline not great.
Yeah, because superhero movies and action flicks, they're like amusement parks. Like you go in because you want to have fun on the ride, but you don't want to leave the amusement park feeling like, I
just came. I came, got some wind in my hair, and I left.
Yeah, that wasn't
great.
The point.
Right.
You want to go over the RT score?
Mm-hmm. Rotten Tomatoes score. So it actually started out in the 90s or the high 80s?
It started out at like 84.
Okay, so it started out around the 84-ish for critic score. It is now currently, I checked right before we started recording, it's at a 75 for critics.
But still fresh.
But it's still rated fresh. Rotten Tomatoes has a thing behind it and how they I think Multiverse of Madness is not certified fresh, but it has like a similar score.
I don't know how they certify something fresh before all the critic reviews come in.
Yeah, it's the critic score for Rotten Tomatoes, people just kind of put for context because there's a little bit of kind of what's kind of going on behind the scenes here. But the audience score, which also can be submitted by anybody. So it also has that kind of what's kind of going on behind the scenes here. Audience score currently is a 92 and it started out at like a 95. So the audience score has dipped a little bit. Critic score has dipped a little bit more, but that's currently where it's sitting for ratings.
Yeah. And I noticed that the audience score came out last night.
Yes.
And the cinema score came out this morning.
Yes.
So, which is very interesting because it seems like the audience scores filled up with all of the positive ratings the night that it came out, and then the cinema score
always comes out the next.
That a little bit.
Yeah, and cinema score always comes out the morning after the Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always like the first thing in the morning they put out whatever the cinema score is.
So it's very funny because cinema score and audience score are essentially supposed to be the same score.
And in this case, you would think it would have
manipulated a little bit,
right? Because you would think based on the audience score, the cinema score would have been like an A-.
I expected it to be the way that people's Twitter reactions to it were, and the way the audience score looked. I expected it to be an A+ or A-.
I was expecting an A-.
Yeah,
for cinema score.
Yeah.
So, summarizing the plot here, let's go into it. So we'll do no spoilers first,
okay,
as always, and then we'll do spoilers.
Okay.
So summarizing the plot without spoiling it.
Do you want to do it, or you want me to do it?
You do it because you are more familiar with the Blue Beetling of the world than I am.
Okay. So to summarize the plot of Blue Beetle, basically there is an alien scarab.
Okay.
A scarab is a long extinct bug from like ancient Egypt times.
Think the mummy. There it is.
Yeah, the mummy, the little black beetle things that crawled under the skin. So there's an alien scarab that has crash landed on Earth. They didn't explain why or when or where it came from, but they did say it is alien. It crash landed on Earth. It is a world destroying weapon.
They called it a weapon.
It's a world destroying weapon. Crash lands on Earth. Susan Sarandon runs a company called Court Industries, who's trying to acquire the scarab.
Business.
Yep. She's trying to acquire the scarab so that she can use it to further her military technology, so she can become even more rich. But she has a niece who has taken the scarab and given it to a regular everyday citizen, Jaime Reyes, for safekeeping. And he has found out how to use the scarab.
And it goes good.
Goes good?
Goes good. Then a little scary. No, it starts out scary. Then it goes a little good.
Yeah.
Then it goes bad. And it goes back good again.
So Jaime Reyes acquires the scarab. It turns him into a superhero, essentially.
Beetle.
And he has to protect himself and the people he loves from Susan Sarandon and her evil corporation.
And her goons.
Yeah, that's the non-spoiler plot of it.
That pretty much summarized it. And honestly, it sounds like quite a few other superhero movies.
Honestly, the non-spoiler, even if I was to give like a spoiler summary,
You would say the same thing?
I would say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like there's not anything shocking. There's not anything that I feel like would spoil this.
No, I mean, if you have seen a typical superhero movie, you know how this starts, you know what the middle is, and you know how it ends.
Yeah.
Literally. I even guessed the after credit scene before the after credit scene came on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Not the second one, because the second was more like a goofy scene. But the mid-credit scene, I guarantee you already know what it is.
I took a lot of notes watching this movie.
Listen, so we like turn our phones down. And I picked our seats. I always pick our seats like in the as center as I could. And I was actually excited that nobody was on the other side of us. And then people showed up that sat literally right next to us, and the theater was half empty, but whatever.
And then tried to say we were sitting in the wrong seats.
Yeah. She was like, are you guys sitting in the wrong seats? Like, no, girl, you have your seats on a Post-it note.
Yeah.
And we have actual tickets. What are you doing? Go sit somewhere else. There's so many other spaces.
Yeah.
Anyway, who walks up and buys tickets randomly anyway? Sidebar. So we like turn our phones down so we're not like, being rude or whatever in the movie. And I don't have as many notes, but then I looked at Jared's phone and he has like 12 notes.
I have scrollable notes.
And I was like, when were you even writing? I didn't even so you real slick with it. I give you that, because I was like, I didn't even notice that you were even in your phone. But yeah, we like try to take notes so we can like have it fresh in our mind of what we talked about. But you got much better notes than me.
So after I got home from watching the movie, I sat and was thinking about like what I wanted to talk about on the podcast episode. And I was looking at old podcast episode notes, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize Blue Beetle and Heart of Stone had so much in common as far as how
a generic plot,
how derivative they are from literally every other movie in their genre.
And a lot of reviews, a lot of the early reviews on Twitter were saying how it's got a lot of heart. It's all about family. True and true. I'll check. But they also said how same superhero tropes, nothing really groundbreaking. So any review that said, I did see a couple that were like, oh, they tell a story in a new, different way. No, they don't. There's nothing new and different about this.
Yeah. No.
And it's not I think me and Jared have different opinions. It's not a bad movie.
I don't think it's a bad movie.
You called it bad yesterday.
I did. My opinion on it changed a little bit. I think
you slept on it.
Context, I'm getting over a cold, so I think I might have just had
you were just irritated.
A little bit more irritated outlook on it. I don't think it was a bad movie.
It was just it was nothing new. I think the effects were mostly, there were a couple of CGI scenes, like some stairs had kind of come up, like a hidden staircase that kind of come up.
There were a couple oof moments.
It was kind of like, oh, y'all why not just move the rock and the stairs just be there? Y'all didn't have to lift them stairs up out of the ground, because that looked real. It was like, did y'all do this at the end? Was this like minute?
There were moments when it had Haunted Mansion CGI. And it should not have Haunted Mansion CGI.
Yeah, like kind of kitty CGI.
Like kitty CGI.
Yeah, but I guess when he transformed into Blue Beetle, one of my notes that I took was it looked kind of gross.
I liked that though.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
I will say every time he transformed into Blue Beetle, the effects and the CGI for that were good, but it was also kind of like, ugh. Like, in a good way, it was like, oh my, this thing is literally taking
it
over.
As like body horror, like slight body horror,
just like around his eyes. It was just kind of like, and then it like, so the scarab sits on his neck, in his back, essentially right below his neck, and it does look kind of gross.
And it's embedded in his spine.
Yeah, it's embedded in his spine, so it's not like Tony Stark's arc reactor.
Right, where he wears it on his shirt.
Where he wears it, right. And it looked kind of like...
It's under his skin.
So the first time he transformed, I was like, this is actually kind of freaky.
Yeah.
But it looks good. Like the effect actually
his transformations looked good.
Yeah. Anytime he transformed and he did whatever he needed to do to get the Blue Beetle to get it cracking, that looked good. I will give them that.
Yeah.
Characters, let's see. So he has his dad, his uncle, who's played by George Lopez. He has his younger sister. I can't tell. I think
younger, because he plays a college graduate,
right?
And they have a conversation at a dinner table at once about whether or not she's going to college.
Oh, right, okay.
So I think she's younger.
Younger sister, grandma, and mom makes up his family, and I like a lot of people were saying, and they all live together. A lot of people were heavily emphasizing family, and I thought it was going to be like Fast Gazillion family, and that they do a little bit too much, like family. I sneeze, family. I eat, family. I go to the bathroom, family. I wreck my car, family. I have a paper cut, family. I thought it was gonna be like that, but it wasn't. The family was actually cute, and it's not. The family aspects weren't too cheesy in the first half.
No.
And I liked all, like, grandma, sister. Uncle George Lopez's uncle was funny. He did a little too much hollering for me, but as a family unit, they were good.
Nobody got on my nerves. Usually, when they have movies where they center too much around the family, one of the family members is like irritating.
Yeah, you're just like, kick them out the house. Yeah. But no, none of that. I
enjoyed all of the family.
All of the family was good. Yeah. Susan Sarandon plays the villain. There's actually a villain and a henchman, right?
Yeah.
You can call him a henchman. He wasn't. Yeah, he kind of worked for Susan Sarandon's character.
She was like the Lex Luthor.
Correct.
And the secondary villain was like in comics, Lex Luthor has Mercy, who is like his assistant, who has who's like part cyborg.
Okay.
And can do like, he sends her to do the muscle work.
Okay.
So it was kind of like a Lex Luthor-ish vibe.
Okay. Yeah. So Susan Sarandon was there.
Susan Sarandon was present and on set for filming.
She was on set. She read her lines. She acted. And she went home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was... Yeah. I don't understand why they didn't just get I still don't understand. Like, so the family is Latino. The henchman guy is presumably also Latino.
Yeah.
From where I picked up.
It's just Susan
I don't
Sarandon.
understand why they just locked in Susan Sarandon. Like, there had to be...
I think the point of, there's a line that Jaime's younger sister makes about gentrification. And I think Susan Sarandon is supposed to be the face of gentrifying like the Latino communities in this fake Miami city. Yeah. I think that's the only reason, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it wouldn't make sense. I mean, even though we're black and rich black people gentrify.
I was gonna say I don't
neighborhoods all the time.
I don't understand why they could.
It's a movie, and when you make a movie, you got to make it simple for people to understand.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
let the white lady be the villain.
Sure.
And it drives home the gentrification elements.
Sharon Stone probably would have been, and I don't have anything against Susan Sarandon, but
both of them would have been good in this
your
role.
Original,
either of them showed up.
To Glenn Close, like you guessed earlier,
Glenn Close would have been good.
She would have been real good in this.
Because Glenn Close is a good character actor.
Who played the villain in Cruella? She was good. I can't think of her name.
Professor Trelawney from Harry Potter.
Yes, blanking on her name, but she also would have been I mean, if we going down older white women actors that could have played this role.
Yeah, Emma Thompson.
Yes, yes, she would have been good.
Yeah,
but. Villain was the villain, typical CEO. I want to rule the world. I want to be rich villain. Nothing different there. Nothing different with the henchman.
No, kind of even less with the henchman.
Yeah, he was just also there. What other characters besides that? I mean, the love interest.
The love interest, yes.
Love interest that was played by
Bruna.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was her name? Jenny.
She played Jenny Cord.
Jenny Cord. She was cool, but they were giving me Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler chemistry from Armageddon.
They had zero chemistry.
Yeah, it was very like they look cute. She was. Oh, her fashions was on point. When she popped up on the screen, I was like, "Oh, this outfit is."
She dressed
cute.
Like a young woman on the board of
with
a
money.
multi-billion-dollar company.
Yes, with cash and a car.
It wasn't just like presidential two-piece suits.
No, she was cute.
She actually had like clothes.
She had wardrobe, so I will give her that. But chemistry, no. And both of them acted. It wasn't the acting. It's like she did good acting. He did good acting. But together, I'm like, y'all not selling this couple.
You know what though? This did something that I really hate that they do with movies. And I get that this character is Blue Beetle.
Yes.
It's about Jaime Reyes. He's from the comics. This is his origin story. But they keep sticking the female lead.
Okay.
As they do this in Blue Beetle. They did this with Megan Fox in Transformers. They did that with Dominique Fishback.
Okay.
And the newest Transformers.
What did they do?
Where they cast the lead female actress as the side character who's more qualified and knows more about what's going on and has more ability and technical
the main
skill.
Guy is just
and they just make the guy who's the goof, the superhero. Yeah. Megan Fox should have been the lead in Transformers. She knew everything about the cars. She was the bravest one, and she didn't spend most of the time on screen screaming. Right. Dominique Fishback did all. She was basically Indiana Jones in Beast in the
right. She was definitely the smarter one.
She was the smarter one. She was more qualified. She knew what she was talking about. And they did the same thing in Blue Beetle, where Jenny Cord knew what the scarab was. She knew how to use it.
She knew how to open. She knew
how to open it. She had all the background about it. It was part of her family. Right. And they still gave it to this dude who was mostly a doofus through most of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, he smartened up at the end, I guess. But you know what's funny? He wouldn't have been as good without his family. Which probably was the point.
No, yeah, exactly. But they do that a lot. They cast the lead actress to be a side character, but give her all the qualifications for why she would be the main character, but not explain why she's not.
Okay.
Yeah. That's and I hate that.
Yeah. So anything non-spoilery to talk about?
Let me see if I have any non-spoiler notes. I like the fake Miami. The Palermo City.
Yeah, they did. I noticed. I was like, wait, this isn't a real.
Because it's DC.
So isn't a real. Yeah, so there's actually a trivia part about this. In the comics, the Reyes family lives in El Paso, Texas. Ooh. In the film, they live in an original location, Palermo City, Florida. The director wanted Blue Beetle to have his own town, like Batman's Gotham and Superman's Metropolis. He described the town as a Latino metropolitan and cited the Florida town as Miami and the works of anime writer-designer Katsuhiro Omoto. I know I ain't say that right. Okay. As an influence. Okay. So yes, you're right. So they wanted their own Gotham and Metropolis.
I like the city.
Yep.
And I liked how colorful it was.
I like the set design.
Yep. A lot of comic movies aren't as colorful all the time. And I like that a lot of it was in the daytime. The city had a lot of color.
Yeah, even the places, even the like the castle or fortress or whatever that we ended up in. Yeah. It wasn't like dark. It wasn't a dark movie.
No, yeah. You could literally see everything that was happening on screen. It was nice to look at. I like the sound design and I like the music that they would play.
Music
in the
was
background
cool.
Of the scenes.
There wasn't too many, what do they call them? Mic drops?
No. There wasn't too many mic drops
to take you out of the movie. Like you switching the song again in the background. Guardians of the Galaxy did that way too many times.
And it usually does it, but that third one went overboard a
Listen,
little bit.
Every 30 seconds there was a new song playing in the back. And my mind kept shifting away from the fact that a new song was on and a new song was on. And then I was like, okay, just silence.
So 2 seconds. We didn't like the villains. Nope. We liked the family and the main character. I liked him.
Yep.
We liked the way it was looked. CGI was decent.
Visuals were decent.
It didn't do too much world building.
No.
Kind of stood on its own.
This had no connections.
He says Superman once.
Did he?
He says Superman when he first
they mentioned Superman and Batman.
And he wears he had a Gotham t-shirt.
He did. Gotham Law.
Because
he was like a pre-law.
So apparently he graduated from law school in Gotham.
Well, I think he was a pre-law major. His sister says pre-law, so he's probably like a poli-sci.
And that's not
major.
A spoiler. The premise of the movie is that
he graduates and comes back home.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I think that's about it for non-spoilers.
Okay.
All right, let's hop into the spoiler part of the review. I don't even know where to start.
Is there anything to spoil about it?
So there's nothing really to spoil other than the good guys win in the end.
Yeah.
His dad dies. That's a big spoiler, kind of, because I mean,
there are a couple deaths in this movie, but the dad was not the most surprising one. But we'll get
who
there
else
later.
died significant. Oh, I know who you're going to talk about.
We'll get there later.
We'll get there. So I guess to give a recap spoiler version, that's pretty much his dad dies. That's a plot spoiler. The henchman turns into Red Beetle. Is that
basically? So
okay, henchman
he's
turns
called
into Red Beetle.
OMAC.
OMAC.
They call him OMAC.
No, that OMAC is the gear.
He's based on an actual comic book villain called OMAC, who is supposed to be Blue Beetle's contemporary.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But they changed his origin in the movie to make him a super soldier.
Oh.
Or the name of
because his name in the movie is Carapax.
Mm-hmm.
That's not anything from the comics. That name.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That is also from the comics.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Okay, because I thought OPAC or OMAC or Terrafax, whatever it is, was the name of her. That's what she was calling
That's what she calls the tech that she's creating to mimic the Blue Beetle technology.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he turns into a super Blue Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
What else was a spoiler? And everybody else lives and Blue Beetle wins.
Ted Kord.
Oh.
So the villain is Susan Sarandon. She's the Lex Luthor-esque villain in this movie.
She feels like she's the rightful, I guess, to add some context to the plot. Mm-hmm. So Kord Industries is started by Susan Sarandon and Jenny's godfather, right?
Grandfather.
Mm-hmm. Yes, grandfather. And when the grandfather passes away, he doesn't hand over the company to Susan Sarandon's character. He hands it over to Jenny's dad, Ted Kord. Mm-hmm. And then Ted Kord gets super obsessed with the scarab, becomes a trash dad because he keeps leaving his daughter because her mom passes away at some point when she's little.
Yeah.
But dad leaves for long periods of time, and then dad just never comes back.
Yeah. He goes off for periods of time to study the scarab, even though he can't use the scarab.
He can't, so the scarab does not, and I guess that's also a plot point, which is not a spoiler. The scarab chooses who it wants to turn into Blue Beetle.
Right.
So he knows of the scarab.
Mm-hmm.
He has the scarab?
He has the scarab.
Which I'm going to hold that thought. He has the scarab, but the scarab does not transform to open up to turn him into Blue Beetle.
It has not chosen him as
So he becomes like a fake Blue Beetle.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. So my question, the movie opens up with Susan Sarandon trying to drill into this big concrete.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Concrete ball. It's basically just a concrete, think Epcot, maybe not as big. That little ball.
It's a
huge ball.
Yeah.
I just called it.
It looks like an egg.
Yeah, it's just a round concrete cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to drill into it
to get as big as a skyscraper.
Right. Epcot. Think Epcot.
Yeah.
They're trying to get into it because she's like, the scarab's inside. I can feel it. How she can feel it, never explained.
Her villain powers.
But how? They never explain how the scarab ends up in the concrete ball.
Two things.
Ever. How? Ever.
Two things.
If her dad had it, Jared, how did it get in there?
Two things. Because there's two things that happen in that scene that confuse me.
Okay.
One,
and this is the opening scene, right?
This is the opening scene.
Okay.
This is how the movie begins.
Okay.
One, the scarab is in this giant stone Epcot Center.
Yes.
That they've been beaming into forever to try to get it out of there.
Right.
But she has a research assistant who does all the research into the scarab named Sanchez.
Her dude in a chair. Basically,
Sanchez. That's not really his name, but that's what he's called throughout the movie.
She calls him the incorrect name.
She calls
the whole
him Sanchez
because she's racist.
Because she's probably racist and just like ignorant of the people who works under her.
Exactly.
But he says, we're not sure if the scarab is actually in here. This could be a decoy, which indicates that the dad might be planting decoy Epcot centers around the world to distract them from finding the actual scarab. He says this could be a decoy. And then she says, oh no, this one is the real one. I can feel it.
So they've been looking for.
So these things are all over the place.
So why would her dad do that?
Them up? And that's not inconspicuous. This is a giant
stone
Easter egg.
It's funny because she says, let's keep this under wraps. And I'm like, girl, how?
This is the world's largest boulder.
You drilling in Epcot. Like, how are people not supposed to know? It's a big old, like, they got a whole
situation. You can see this thing from space.
They got a whole situation set up.
Yeah.
Where they got tents and everything outside to drill into.
It's like Monarch out there.
And she's like, keep this under wraps. Like, lady, cat's out of the bag. Scarab's out of the concrete bubble you have.
Yeah. The Associated Press is probably like in disguise out here just writing up everything y'all doing.
Something is leaking this. But yeah, so I did not understand how
it got there.
They said her dad had it. That's why I was confused. Like, but if your dad had it, why are we looking for it?
And he went missing.
Right.
Her dad is missing.
Missing.
So if he went missing, how did he get separated from the scarab? If he was in possession of it, why would he, instead of keeping it with himself where people can clearly not find him at all?
Right. And why would you put it in something that's so obvious?
Why would you put it in something so big and obvious?
You would normally in most movies when something's that small, because it fits in his palm.
Yeah.
You bury it underneath.
Yeah.
You don't put it in Epcot Center.
That's how the movie starts. That's where the scarab comes from.
Right.
And a little background on Ted Kord. So Ted Kord is the original Blue Beetle.
Yes.
He had the scarab. He built all of his technology based on his research from the scarab. But because the scarab chooses a host, it did not choose him. He was not. It's like Mjolnir. He was not worthy.
Okay.
So he couldn't use the scarab. He basically is like he's like your bargain. And people are going to be upset about this, but this is just a realistic take of it. He's the bargain bin version of Batman.
Okay.
He doesn't fight crime at night. He doesn't have a cape, but he uses the same type of gadgetry and espionage.
To be a superhero.
Okay.
He has human superhero.
He has a Blue Beetle cave. He has a Beetle mobile.
Which we see in the movie. Yep.
Yeah. A lot of the same notes. He's just not as dark. He has a sense of humor. He's a family man.
Okay.
But he's kind of like the antithesis of Batman. In the comics, he dies.
Okay.
So this is you're going to be interested in this.
Uh-oh. Am I?
So the original Blue Beetle, his best friend,
okay, with
a character named Booster Gold.
Oh, people were talking about this yesterday on Twitter. I saw people mentioning how people are like, oh, when is James going to announce a sequel? And people are like, never. He's going to be in Booster Gold next. And I was like, how?
So
what's the connection there?
Blue Beetle is best friends with a character named Booster Gold.
Oh, that's
very
why
quickly.
People were mentioning
who is Booster Gold? Booster Gold
Chris Pratt
would be perfectly played by Chris Pratt. But Booster Gold is a DC superhero in name.
Right.
In reality, Booster Gold is a regular human.
Okay.
Who was who's from the future, very, very distant, advanced future. He time travels back to present day. He brings a lot of the future tech with him, and he uses that future tech to be a superhero in the present day because he's not special in the future.
Gotcha.
He has no skills. He's not special in the future. He travels back in time, brings his future tech,
special,
becomes special. He does it for selfish reasons. He has imposter syndrome. He meets Blue Beetle. They become friends, and
because they got the same
but through his friendship with Blue Beetle, he learns what it's like to become a true hero.
Okay.
The caveat to that is, and I'm describing a much better movie. The caveat to that is,
it'll be a good movie
because Booster Gold is from the future. He knows who Blue Beetle is.
Okay.
He knows he's gonna die. He knows when he's gonna die. Not only does he know Ted Kord is gonna die in the line of fire, but he knows that it's necessary for Ted Kord to die in order for Jaime Reyes to rise up and become the better Blue Beetle. And wouldn't it have been a better movie? Wouldn't it have been a better movie if this movie opened with Ted Kord, a big battle between Booster Gold and Ted Kord? No, we don't know who they are, but it's a big battle, so who cares?
Yeah.
Ted Kord dies.
Right.
And his words to Booster Gold are, take this scarab with you and find the chosen person.
Yeah.
And give him the scarab.
They might do that for Booster Gold.
Oh, yeah. They should do that later.
In like 2027, whenever. Because is Booster Gold even confirmed?
No, not really.
No, he's not. Okay.
No.
I didn't know if he was announced in James Gunn's lineup.
But that would have been a much better opening to a movie. That would have been a much better premise to a movie. Yeah. And it probably would have added some answers to why was Jaime Reyes the chosen one? Because this movie doesn't tell us.
So that is another part about the plot. We never learn why Jaime is picked. Ever.
No, we don't.
He just Jenny sneaks the scarab from the lab.
Right.
Puts it in a hamburger box. Side point, the hamburger looked really good.
It was a really good.
It was a really good looking hamburger. Cheeseburger, excuse me.
Really good fast food burger.
I mean, perfection. Yeah. Size of the patty was good. Cheese, all that. Mm-hmm. She puts it in this box so she can sneak it out. She gives it to Jaime, who's at Ted Core because him and his sister got fired from their job the day before. Hint, or not obviously convenience. The job they got fired from was Susan Sarandon's resort house.
It looked like a beach house.
It looked
like a place she lived regularly.
The sister and him worked at her beach house. Sister used the toilet when she wasn't supposed to. They got busted. So she's like, oh, I feel bad. Come to the job. Come to headquarters. We can talk. We might have something in the company. Just for him, though. The sister actually doesn't get offered a job.
I mean, she deserved to get fired. She should be able
to use the bathroom.
There is a bathroom for guests.
Fine. So he shows up. She's doing her spy work. Sneaks the scarab out. Gives it to him in the delicious hamburger box. He goes home. Opens it up to his family's pressure because they're like, dude.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, because I mean, come on.
Right.
She told you not to open a box.
He literally doesn't open it till he gets back home and his family's like, if you don't open up that box.
You brought this box in the house.
Right. Like, she shouldn't have gave it to you if you didn't want you to take a peek.
Right.
He opens it. He picks up the scarab. Now, mind you, they thinking it's supposed to be.
It looks like a bug. It looks like
a very large
golden
and blue. Thanks, Bailey. She didn't agree with that, I guess. Bug that fits in the palm of his hand. And then it opens. It literally opens to him as it's like, oh, you're the chosen one. Hey, Jaime, I've been looking for you. Blip, blip, bloop. Ching, ching, ching. And it opens. And then it goes into him turning into Blue Beetle.
Yeah, it like barrels into his spine and turns him into the Blue Beetle.
I mean, it's a good scene.
It's a good scene.
Looks like
it goes on for a while. It looks very painful.
Hurts. Right.
Because like there's like black fluid coming from his eyes and his nose and stuff.
Yeah, so it like, I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but it is kind of like it looks like a disease almost.
Yeah, it does. Like
spreading all over his body. But after you see it the first time, when they do it again, you kind of, I guess you're anticipating it. So it's not as like jarring. Good effect though.
Yeah.
Good effect.
In the end, he ends up looking like a mix between like a Beetleborg and Iron Man.
Another part of the movie I didn't particularly love was how, so when he first gets into the suit turns on. It has a Friday situation, Iron Man Friday voice.
Which is Becky G.
Who voices the suit, but it doesn't sound like a person.
No, it kind of sounds like it's like one of those computer apps where if you type, where you like a dictation app where if you type something up,
if you ask Google how to pronounce something and it reads it, that doesn't sound like a person. It sounds like Google. Yeah, it didn't. They could have humanized the voice of the suit more because it sounded very like.
Jennifer Connelly does the voice of Tom Holland's suit in Spider-Man.
And I meant to look up the name of what his suit.
And Jarvis, Paul Bettany, does the voice of Jarvis in Iron Man movies and in MCU. And even though they're supposed to be AI, just like
they sound
the Blue Beetles,
human.
They emote. You know, like they have inflections in their voice that makes it sound like you're talking to could be a person. Mm-hmm. And the Kajida was the name of the AI inside the scarab. It just doesn't emote at all. It's very robotic, very like right from a computer. And until you said that Becky G was the voice actress for Kajida, I had no idea they casted anybody. I just thought that they just used like an app or something.
Spider-Man called his suit named Karen.
That's unfortunate.
So the suit's voice did not sound like somebody voiced it. And what I didn't particularly love about the whole first getting to the suit montage, so every time a unsuspecting person turns into a superhero and they do their first in a suit scene, the suit was tearing him up. And not only was the suit tearing him up, the suit was tearing up the city. Like he fell into a car. He split a bus in half. He ran up a skyscraper and jacked up all the windows. And I'm like, if this suit is supposed to be smart and alien and super high tech, why I got him floating around? Because
like Jarvis and Karen wouldn't do that to Tony Stark or Peter Parker.
I didn't like Spider-Man running into buildings because he doesn't know how to shoot webs and swing. Makes sense. The suit was controlling him, and he literally landed into like an exotic car and smashed it.
He was sideswiping people's mirrors, running into buildings, crashing on the cars.
I was just like,
the bus in half, like you said,
rip the bus in half.
And it kept saying, "Oh, systems check complete."
Yeah, it kept saying this this is not a good
this
system.
Isn't a very
checks,
smart
girl.
suit.
I have no
The
confidence.
AI isn't very smart because it's destroying everything.
No confidence in the suit at the beginning.
Yeah.
I was like, this suit gonna kill him.
And he couldn't just call it out whenever he wanted to. It seemed like the suit only activated when he was in danger.
The suit seemed to have its own agenda.
Even though they had a neural link and it was in his brain.
The suit was kind of like, no, I'm not coming out today. Try again.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. Are you dying? Okay, now I'll come out.
So I just want to go through a couple notes.
Okay. Hit it.
Issue I had with the characterization of Jaime. Mm-hmm. He comes back. We're introduced to him as he's coming back. He's coming out of the airport. Yes. To meet his family. Correct. He's graduated from college.
Excellent.
It seems like this is the first time he's been back since he went to college.
Hard to tell.
Because
it does seem like he's been gone for a while.
When they take him out for dinner, they tell him that
all the bad news.
They're losing the house.
Lost the auto shop.
They lost the auto shop.
Dad had a heart attack.
And he has no idea. He's totally surprised by all these things. And they're like, "Oh, you've been working so hard. We don't want to tell you." I can't imagine growing up my entire life, living in the same house with my entire family, and then going to college and not speaking to them at all for the entire time. I'm
assuming they spoke. They just happened to leave those details.
You can't hide that my parent had a heart attack.
I'm guessing that's what they did.
Because if I FaceTime you, and the first time I see that you're in the hospital, I'm gonna have questions.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have questions.
I just rolled with that because it was just kind of like, I just took it as they've talked to him. They just lied about all that other stuff.
Not telling me my parent has had a heart attack because I'm working hard in school is inexcusable.
Yeah, I agree. We on the same page with that.
I asked you because I wasn't sure. It was just a little weird that he graduated from school, came back home, had no job, had no
that happens all the time.
Nothing.
Plenty of people graduate with no job.
With a degree from pre-law, and he can't even secure a job anywhere. His sister has to get him a job.
That is reality. It happens. I mean, the idea is you to have something, at least, flipping buggers. But no, that's not actually uncommon.
There's a scene when after the scarab is embedded in his neck and his family's trying to figure out, okay, what do we do next? How do we solve this? Yep. His sister comes up with the idea to contact Jenny Cord.
Smart.
Because she was the one who gave him the scarab.
Yep.
And she said, she's got all the answers, probably. Let's reach out to her. He was like, well, I don't even know where to start to reach out to her. And his sister has his phone, and she says, well, you've been stalking her on Instagram. And she lists off all these facts about her, what her sign is, the fact that she's single, where she works, where she lives. And he's like, well, how did you know that? She was like, because I went through your phone because you left it unlocked. It's impossible. You have an iPhone, you can't leave it unlocked. Apple products are so secure to the point that they're annoying. I was locked out of my Apple ID for 2 years one time.
Yeah, and I try to log in to check our podcast stats, and they got it every single time. I have to enter a code.
You can't leave an iPhone unlocked, and even if you could, what 22-year-old would?
Correct. As soon as you turn the screen off, it locks.
So
right?
that was just.
You were like,
I was like,
you don't like bad writing. You don't like that. So they got the real part of him not having a job, but they did not get the Apple.
You cannot leave
mechanics right.
Only can you not leave one unlocked. You probably there would be nobody who would ever leave their iPhone unlocked. That's crazy.
Hilarious.
Let's see. My favorite scene.
Okay,
was George Lopez passing out.
Oh, after they messed up his truck?
After he took his truck.
Right.
So when they decide he should go contact Jenny to find out about the scarab, how to get it off of him, they're all bickering like a big family usually is about what the right step is. While they're bickering, he sneaks off, takes his uncle George Lopez's car, which is like this souped up Tacoma hoopty. Yeah. With all this tech.
It's got all the stuff, all the gadgets.
He decides to sneak off and take the truck.
He calls it Taco. The truck is called Taco.
And George Lopez hears the truck starting up and driving off. He looks out the window. He yells, "Mama, they're taking Taco." And then he passes out.
He literally has it's almost like he has a seizure.
It's almost like
he like stops mid sentence of yelling.
It's like
and
he
just
stopped breathing.
Out.
His eyes rolled up in the back of his head. He just threw himself against the wall and passed out.
That was fun. He had quite a few funny bits. He was definitely the comedic relief.
It made me think. My other note was that I missed the George Lopez show because I forgot how funny the George Lopez show was.
It was funny. I mean, he's had some problematic since then, but he still got a little bit.
Yeah, I forgot how he wasn't just good with like being funny with the line reads. Mm-hmm. He was good. He did good physical comedy. Yeah. Like his movements were funny and stuff.
Yes. Yes. He was good.
When at the end, when Jenny bought him a new truck and she said, "I thought you would like it," he told the sister, he said, "Come on, help me like it."
That was funny. That was funny because the way he did it was just kind of like you can tell he like is excited that he got a new truck, but he didn't
want to give Jenny too much.
He didn't want to give Jenny right because the whole movie he's like anti-cord. Well, everybody kind of is. They're like, "Oh, she's a cord. She can't be trusted. Mm-hmm. We don't like her people." So that line was funny.
Did you have any notes?
Let's see. I have like 4 bullet points. Some already talked about. One, the fact that Jaime's like no killing. When he's in the suit, he's like he tells the suit, "Don't kill this person." He literally tells the suit not to kill the villain, who later kills his dad.
Who earlier killed his both. He had multiple opportunities to
wipe this man out.
Omac.
No killing, mm-hmm. But towards the end of the movie, when the family like has to go save Jaime from being kidnapped,
they kill everybody.
They tearing it up. Mm-hmm. I mean, they got the little blue Beetle vehicle that's like stomping people through the heart.
Granny killed at least 12 people.
Granny took a couple people out, and I'm like, now why he holding back and the family ready to turn up? So that was kind of a weird little dynamic.
It was one of those things where it's like, it was the mixed messaging of, they were trying to do the whole real heroes are pacifist thing. That's not real. Superman be killing people. Superman will tell you like, I'm Superman. Yeah. So I'm letting you know I'm Superman. If you want to continue to fight, we can. But I'm just letting you know I'm Superman.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Batman ain't gonna kill you, but he'll at least break something.
Several things.
So he'll incapacitate you to the point that you can no longer be a threat to anybody.
There you go. I was at least string you up. So that was my thing.
We don't call Captain America a villain when he kills Nazis. We don't call Black Widow a villain when she shoots people.
Nope.
You can kill people.
We didn't call Scarlet Witch a villain when she took out a whole half a building. No. By accident.
No, we didn't. So
yeah, that was a little. I was like, I'm annoyed. You just need to.
You need to kill this man because he's a danger to not just you.
He ends up sacrificing himself at the end.
He's a danger to society.
Yeah,
kill him.
Yeah. And then my other note was at the end, the suit for some reason. So he's fighting the bad guy, who's transformed into the suit. Now he's a super.
So they hooked Jaime up to this thing.
They got the code for the Blue Beetle, injected it into the bad guy. Now he's like Iron Man on steroids.
Right.
But
he's
the
like
bad guy.
Super OMAC now.
Right. Mm-hmm. And the suit, they fighting, they dueling it out. They blow for blow, whatever. Mm-hmm. And the suit at some point says, "I can no longer protect you," to Jaime. And I was like, I'm sorry?
And it didn't give a reason why.
No reason. She just says,
I can no longer protect
But then you. Later, a few scenes later, he like turns back up.
He like super powers up.
So I'm like, so does she...
Kajida was awful. The suit, at this point, the way the AI was portrayed in the movie, it shouldn't have been there.
She just wasn't very good.
He should have just had control of the suit.
Yeah.
Kajida did nothing for this movie.
Right. He should have should have been like, not exactly like Iron Man, but Iron Man controls his suit. Mm-hmm. They should have set it up to where he controls the suit if she was going to be useless.
Yeah. Jarvis is there to give input.
Correct.
And analysis.
Right.
And Iron Man does the steering. It should have been I know that's not traditional Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, but the way they portrayed it in the movie, it was a waste.
She should have been a better assistant.
It would have a better AI. It wasn't even smart. The AI didn't even do anything smart. It didn't know computing. It didn't like assess the battleground or say this is the best optimal route to take, or these are the best actions we should take to survive this fight. Kind of just deal whatever.
Right. So, yeah, let's see. You said your favorite. Did you say what your favorite was?
Yeah, George Lopez passing out.
Okay, what was my favorite line or favorite scene? Dang, I should have wrote one down because now I don't think. Anytime he transformed into Blue Beetle was probably, I like that.
Okay.
So since he can't make the suit, since he has no control over the suit, he has to like force himself into danger, or it senses itself, senses that the host is in danger. Mm-hmm. So it brings it out. So when he jumps off the roof,
yeah,
when he jumped off the roof and it kind of kicked in and turned him into Blue Beetle, that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
I'll call that my favorite.
Let's see. Just a few more notes.
Okay. What?
Back to what we said earlier about the death.
Sanchez.
So the dad died, which the dad died because he had a heart attack while they were being attacked by Susan Sarandon's company. Right. Mm-hmm. That did not surprise me as much.
It was a good scene, but I wasn't surprised.
I didn't expect it, but it didn't surprise me that somebody was going to die. Yeah. Somebody on the good side was going to die.
Right.
What did surprise me was Sanchez dying.
Oh, boy.
Sanchez was Susan Sarandon's
guy in the chair.
Essentially. And throughout the movie, they kind of planted seeds that he felt bad for his involvement in helping her. Mm-hmm. So towards the third act of the film, they capture Jaime. Mm-hmm. They hooked him up to these machines. They're going to extract the Blue Beetle tech, and it's going to kill him in the process.
Correct.
Jaime overcomes it. Mm-hmm. Lots of unnecessary things happen. He goes to the astral plane.
Yeah, to see his dad.
It's
not called astral plane. We just calling it that because that's what it looked like.
To see his dad. And Sanchez, he overcomes it, gets free.
Yep.
Sanchez, eventually, his feelings about his involvement overcome him. He feels bad, so he helps Jaime escape.
Yep.
And by sacrificing himself, he lets Jaime out of the room, locks himself in the room with Carapax and Susan Sarandon.
Right, with the villains.
And while he's giving Jaime this, go, be free.
Save yourself.
Get your
save
family.
Your family.
Carapax comes up behind him and just bludgeons him. And his blood
I think he just blew up.
All over. Did he blow him up?
I think he blew him. It was a one-shot kill,
He just had like blood splatter all over the window. And I was like, that was so brutal. I didn't expect it.
It was pretty brutal. Also, there's quite a bit of cussing in this movie.
They cussed a lot in this movie.
They cussed quite a bit just for general knowledge, which I didn't care about.
That's probably why they say James Gunn really liked the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
they threw in a couple, which I didn't care, but I was like, oh, y'all cussing.
Yeah.
Okay. But the thing about Sanchez's death, and it's bad we call him that because I don't remember what his actual name is, because right before he dies, he is, my name's not Sanchez, my name is
something very
first,
long.
middle, and last. Yeah. Because I don't remember what his name is. He didn't have to sacrifice himself.
No, he didn't.
He literally could have just left with Jaime, closed the door, and the villain guy, Sarapak, was going to blow through the door. Care package was going to blow through the door anyway. Like he got a suit on that does special things.
Yeah, he was going to get out of that room.
He was going to get out of the room anyway.
He was invincible.
I thought he was going to like set the room on fire. No, he just got blown up in one shot. I was like, all right, Sanchez.
Yeah, he was like the Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
You couldn't lock him in a room. He was going to get out. So you sacrificing yourself. He didn't even like save him time because Jaime barely got down the hall before Carapax got out of the room anyway.
Yeah, package that he did. It was just kind of like
care package.
What did you sacrifice yourself for nothing, Sanchez? I'm sorry, but this was a waste of time.
It was a waste of time.
You should have just saved yourself. But yeah, that was.
My other note, two more notes. They stole Wanda's backstory.
How?
So at the end of the movie, when Jaime decides to
you're talking about
not
care
kill
packages?
the villain, right?
That's what
care
he is.
packs. I'm not gonna say care packages.
Care package.
When Jaime when he defeats him and he decides to not kill him because family is what makes me strong,
which was in the trailer. The end of the movie is in the trailer, but you probably already knew that.
Boo. Anyway, when he decides not to kill Carapax, we get a flashback to Carapax's memories and his exposition as to what motivated him to become the villain he was.
Right.
And we see a scene of young Carapax walking towards his house. I think he's from Colombia.
Yes.
He's walking towards his house to meet his mom.
Right. I didn't even.
And a bomb drops and blows up his house and his mom. And on the side of the bomb, it says Cord. And it reminds me from
WandaVision.
From Age of Ultron, when Wanda said we were stuck in the house looking at a bomb and the side of it said Stark Industries. And that's why they became villains in Age of Ultron.
But he worked for Cord.
Not prior to being blown up.
I know, but I'm saying
he went to work. Well,
he went to work for Cord. He didn't come a Cord like.
When he decides to self-sacrifice himself and take Susan Sarandon with him,
which is how she dies,
he says, "I remember now." So did he forget?
Oh, maybe.
When did he lose his memories?
We don't.
So apparently, maybe Susan Sarandon toyed with his memories and made him forget that it was her that blew up his house.
Yeah, at some point, I guess his memory got jacked up in all his body modifications.
I feel bad for Susan. She had to be in this terrible movie.
I don't.
But that was after I decided the movie's not completely terrible.
Oh.
Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue.
That was a good scene. The scene with that and them moving around in the Beetle mobile. That was good.
That was good. Kickstart My Heart is up there with like, it's not the same tempo, but it's like the Fleetwood Mac. Motley Crue is. So I like when Kickstart My Heart is played in movies. That's cool. That's all the notes I had prior to that.
I don't have any other notes that we haven't covered.
You want to talk about the after credit scene?
Sure. So let's hit the after credit scene real quick.
Okay.
I guessed it because the mid credit scene that matters is the fact that her dad actually is still alive. I mean,
we don't know where he is.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Well, anytime they say a character is missing, air quotes, and nobody's heard from him, the character is obviously still alive.
So we see a lineup in his Blue Beetle cave. We see a lineup of all his Blue Beetle suits. One suit is missing because one mannequin is naked.
Yeah, one mannequin just has like a belt and a pillow on.
So wherever he went, he took his suit with him.
Correct.
And he comes through the sound waves in the computer.
He comes through. There's a whole dungeon, his old dungeon with got like all the computer sets up, and somehow, I guess when they turned it on earlier, it might have sent out like a signal that it got turned on. And some voice comes over, and I don't know if it's him or somebody else with him. You don't really know. But they're basically like, Ted Cord is alive. I repeat, Ted Cord is alive. And it's just like, of course, because duh. Yeah. So I don't like guessing mid-credit scenes. That means it's not very
my note was Ted Cord must be trapped in a quantum realm with Michelle Pfeiffer.
You think it's that deep?
It's exactly the same.
I just thought he was in some jungle locked up somewhere.
I was like, so they're stealing the Janet Van Dyne is stuck in the quantum realm and she's not actually dead thing.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably more sci-fi than that. And I'm just like, he's stuck in a jail somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know if he
can't get out. He's like
like
Uncharted. His brother.
As far as I know, I don't know if Blue Beetle travels dimensions, but maybe he went to the future with Booster Gold and got stuck. Who knows?
Oh, don't be writing their movies. Don't be giving them ideas.
Yeah.
All right. So worth the theater, just the movie, or save your time?
It is just a movie. Is it worth the theater? After seeing it, no.
Agree. We agree there. I would say wait for streaming.
It's funny because this was originally going straight to streaming, just like Batgirl.
Should have left it there.
But they decided to pull it put it in the box office because
I don't know why
they just needed to fill out the DC line of movies coming out. They needed to make profit off of something.
Should have let it cook.
Blue Beetle was the best looking out of the lineup. So they decided to put it in theaters and not promote it at all, which was dumb. So
yeah, I mean, I guess they did what they could considering the strikes are still going on, but yeah.
I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's just a movie. I wouldn't have gone to see it in the theaters if I were you.
I would just wait.
Our rating, is this cinema?
Sure.
Technically.
Sure. It's not, I didn't want my time back.
I didn't want my time back, no. But there were several moments. There was a moment we were houring in and I checked the time.
You're right.
And I saw that we still had an hour and 7 minutes to go.
There was a moment
and I felt like George Lopez passing out in that kitchen.
There was a moment where I checked the time. You like showed me your phone and I was like, oh. Yeah. A whole hour. It was too long. That was
I think this movie could have been 10 times better had they removed 30 minutes.
Correct. Runtime was too long.
Way too long. I don't know what everybody's obsession nowadays is with making a movie 2 hours plus.
It feel like
it don't have to be.
Right.
Bring back those hour and a half movies.
Hour and a half, hour 45. Yeah. But I definitely was feeling it at the end. I'm like, I kind of just want to